Hi, and welcome to Visual Arts class. We are about to have a very simple session. We're going to be looking at one key component of every journal, especially for those who are participating or are candidates for Visual Arts CXC. We're going to be looking at critical analysis, as this is a crucial component to the journal and essentially the SBA. And feel free to share what you have done based on what we do in this video for the activity. And of course, I will be more than willing to comment on the outcomes that I'm seeing in the comment section when we get to that point. All right, now with every lesson, we have to have an objective. When we decide to learn something, then we're doing it for a reason, and so our objective is going to serve that purpose. There are also a few key things that I want to ensure that you all grasp, as these things are the purpose of the lesson. So let's start with the main goal. By the end of this video, you should be able to critically analyze an artwork, or at least grasp the concepts that are associated with analyzing an artwork, and therefore being able to properly document that you can do this. Some specific objectives, and we really just have 3 of them. That's going to, if you are able to do these things or to talk about these things, then this lesson was a success. First specific objective is that we want to be able to explain what it means to analyze an artwork and what its relevance is. So why is it important to analyze an artwork? Secondly, because we want to be intentional in the things that we do, we have these objectives. Secondly, we want to be able to identify and define. All right. Now, first thing that we're going to do is to respond to the first specific objective, which is being able to state what critical analysis is, and even more so, what it means to critically analyze an artwork. So this very simple definition states that critical analysis is a detailed examination and evaluation of something. It's a detailed examination and evaluation of an artwork. If we're looking specifically at an artwork, think of it as something that you do on a day-to-day basis. It's in fact something that we do on a day-to-day basis, and so it's not something to be afraid of per se. Let me just, yeah, I think I can leave it there. You can use the time to just review what's here. And so it's all about you talking about why this thing is critical to whatever it is critical to for you, or what's the purpose of the thing, why you should choose it. Let's use an example of, for those who perhaps play games. When you are deciding what kind of device to purchase, whether it is a certain smartphone or a gaming laptop or a gaming computer, you look at the specs of those devices. And if the specs of those devices are suitable for the purpose for which you'll be using this device, then you purchase it. You have, in that moment, while you look at the specs and all of that and make your decision, you have been analyzing the item. You have been critically analyzing the item. Move on from here, we're going to look at each of them individually. Okay, so let's start with the description. Are you looking at an artwork that is a painting? Is it a painting? Is it a graphics design piece, which is a poster? Or maybe it's a business logo? Is it a textile piece, maybe a crochet mat or a crochet, a mixture of macrame and weaving, whatever, to make a wall hanging? Is it a ceramic piece? These things are facts. You're stating the facts. In this section, it does not matter what you think. State what you know, state what is. Pronouns, personal pronouns are a no-no for description. So you may say that it's a painting of a duck, or a painting of a cup, or a drawing of a table with the shoes. These are the facts, the things that you see. The next thing is the analysis, and that can be a little bit trickier than the description based on your knowledge of the key terms and concepts in the language of art. In art and in the language of art, value takes on a different meaning. It refers to a particular element of art that deals with the lightness or darkness of something. Or we could say that it deals with how light is reflected on an object based on what you draw. So value takes on a different meaning in art, but is a part of the language of art. And these are the things that you're talking about in your analysis. You're trying to state how this artwork was created using these concepts that are linked to the artwork. As we write in the section for analysis, we may be talking about the principles of perspective. Perspective refers to our point of view. Yes, simply put, it refers to our point of view. So the position at which we are looking at something, and the principles of perspective guides us in how we draw that. Another example is that of emphasis, with a principle of design that allows something to stand out. So there you're analyzing the piece in terms of the elements and principles and language of art that is apparent in the piece. Still, you're just highlighting the different theories and concepts that can be talked about when an artist is making a work or has made a work. Sometimes we don't think that persons put any thought into it when they're making the work. They just whoosh, paint the piece or draw the piece, and that's it. But a lot of thought goes into making the work. There is always a reason why something is blue versus yellow. Maybe it's for it to stand out, maybe it's for it to recede, maybe it will have a certain impact on how you view the thing, but whether we realize it or not, decisions made when making artworks are not as random as we may think. Let's take a look at interpretation and what that refers to. Now, unlike the description and the analysis, this is now becoming a bit more subjective rather than objective, and you're allowed to interject your opinion, your honest opinion, or an interpretation that you would have found out about based on your research. So you're stating what the work means, what the purpose of the work is. Fourth is judgment. That's also subjective. Again, it's your opinion. And this is where the assessment based on a kind of rubric or personal opinion of what an artwork should do or is. It's kind of where you utilize something like that in this section. And so you're saying whether this piece was successful or not, and how successful was it? What is the evidence of that success? So, for example, you may say that This illustration piece was intended for children, and the artist successfully did that based on the vibrant colors that were used and the style of the illustrative imagery that was seen in the piece. That's a pretty good, fair judgment, rather than to say it was a good piece, it was not a good piece. That is just, it doesn't show that you have done much thinking. And so I will always suggest and recommend that you think of it as a conclusion for everything else that has been said. And so if it was successful, why was it successful? If it was not successful, why was it not successful? Maybe it was a good piece for, so it's not just restricted to the how what the piece looks like, but also the function of the piece as well, and how it was made too. So those are some things that one may think about as it relates to judgment.